She never stopped. That's it. That's the sentence Miranda Lambert's childhood best friend wrote. And once you really sit with what that means about Blake Shelton, about Gwen Stefani, even about Kelly Clarkson, you can't hear their songs the same way again. It wasn't some glossy interview, no dramatic camera zoom, just a quiet comment under an old photo from Lindale, Texas. Two teenage girls smiling like life hadn't gotten complicated yet. Someone mentioned Blake Shelton. Her friend replied, she never stopped. And if you've ever loved someone in a way that didn't fully fade, even after you swore it did, that line probably hit you right in the ribs, before the awards, before The Voice, before red carpets and headlines. There was just Miranda, a small-town girl with a guitar and a stubborn streak. And beside her was the friend who knew every crush, every tear, every late-night dream. Back when love wasn't public property. Back when it just felt real. Now here's where it starts to feel personal. When Miranda Lambert and Blake Shelton fell for each other, it wasn't calm or slow. It was loud. Electric. Two artists with big personalities and even bigger emotions. You could feel it in their duets, in the way they looked at each other on stage. Dash, it's about who you were before the world got a hold of you. The soft parts. The fragile parts. And Blake? He was the Oklahoma boy who sang about love like it was simple and steady and forever.
When I need you.
At the time, you probably believed it. Most people did. They looked solid, meant to last. But love doesn't always fall apart in public. Sometimes it just cracks. Quietly. One small fracture at a time. The divorce announcement felt sudden. One day they were posting happy photos. The next it was over. No messy interviews, no drawn-out battles. Just a short statement and a lot of silence. And silence is loud when you're paying attention. Because after that split, Miranda's music shifted. It felt sharper, more restless. Less fairy tale, more truth.
Can't go home again.
It sounds like someone trying not to feel something too heavy. And here's the part people forget. Blake didn't stay alone long. Gwen Stefani walked into the picture. Different world, different vibe. Pop princess meets country cowboy. It shouldn't have worked, but somehow it did. You watched it happen on The Voice. The teasing, the chemistry, the way they laughed like two people who needed that lightness. But here's the thing that makes this story deeper. Gwen wasn't coming in untouched. Her split from Gavin Rossdale had been brutal. Public, painful. She didn't just lose a marriage. She lost the future she thought she'd already written.
I thought it was the best thing that ever happened to you.
You can hear the ache in that. That's not pop polish. That's heartbreak bleeding through melody. So when Blake and Gwen found each other, it felt like two wounded people choosing hope anyway. And honestly, that's kind of beautiful. But go back to that sentence. She never stopped. Stopped what? Stopped loving Blake? Stopped caring. Stopped holding on to the version of herself that existed in that marriage? You won't believe what happened next. Fans went full detective mode. Old interviews resurfaced. Old award show clips? Moments where Miranda's voice trembled just slightly on certain songs. They replayed Blake's love ballads too.
It was almost a year before
It holds more history than we realized, and then something unexpected happened. Kelly Clarkson's name started showing up in conversations, not because she was part of that triangle, but because she understood heartbreak in a way only someone who's lived it can. When Kelly's marriage ended, it shocked people. She always seemed strong, like nothing could shake her. And yet there she was, talking about betrayal, about starting over, about protecting her kids while her own heart was in pieces. That song feels like rebuilding brick by brick. Slow. Honest. No pretending. So now look at the four of them: Miranda, Blake, Gwen, Kelly. 4 different love stories. 4 different breakups. 4 different healing journeys. And here's where it hits you. None of them trashed each other publicly. No explosive tell-alls. No dragging names through the mud. They processed it the only way artists know how. Through songs. And when Miranda's best friend says she never stopped, it doesn't feel like gossip. It feels like something softer, more human. You can move forward and still carry a piece of what was. That doesn't mean you want it back. It just means it shaped you. Think about your own life for a second. There's probably someone who changed you forever. Maybe you don't talk to them anymore. Maybe you haven't said their name in years. But they built a version of you that still exists. Miranda and Blake didn't just share a marriage. They shared becoming. They grew into bigger versions of themselves together. That leaves marks. And Gwen? She stepped into a new chapter with a man who already had history written all over him. Not in a threatening way, just in a real way, because everybody has history. And Kelly Clarkson, sitting in that red chair on The Voice beside Blake, laughing through their banter, also carried her own scars. Two divorced artists joking on live TV. You could see it sometimes. That quiet understanding, pain recognizes pain. Now pause. If Miranda never stopped caring in some quiet, private way, and Blake built something new with Gwen, and Kelly rebuilt herself from scratch, what does that say about love? Is it something you replace? Or something you layer? First love especially. It doesn't vanish. It imprints. It becomes part of your wiring. That doesn't mean Miranda sits around wishing for the past. That's not what this is. She looks steady now, strong, grounded. But strength doesn't erase memory. And that's why fans keep debating in comment sections. Was Blake her soulmate? Or just the chapter that shaped her into who she is today? And here's a question nobody says out loud. Does Gwen ever wonder what parts of Blake were formed during those Miranda years? Not out of jealousy, just curiosity. Because love changes you. Gwen knows that better than anyone. I know. Like someone choosing love again even after it hurt. And Kelly? She turned pain into an anthem.
I will not break the way you did.
You sing along to that one in your car, windows down. But you know it came from something real. So circle back to that quiet comment in Lindale. She never stopped. Maybe it means she never stopped honoring what that love meant. There's a difference. Loving someone and loving who you were with them aren't the same thing. Sometimes you miss the version of yourself that existed in that season. And that's not betrayal. That's memory. But we're not done. Because there's one performance from their marriage that fans still replay. One moment on stage where the chemistry feels almost too real. And once you see it through this lens, you can't unsee it. Part 2. That performance happened before the divorce. Before the headlines, back when Miranda Lambert and Blake Shelton still looked like the definition of country love. They stood side by side under bright lights, the crowd screaming. And for a few minutes, it felt like nothing could ever break them. But watch closely. There's a look they share halfway through the song. Not flashy. Not dramatic, just a split second where something unspoken passes between them. At the time, you probably saw romance. Now, it feels layered.
Go home again.
And Blake helped write it. That's what makes it heavier. They built art together from grief. When two people create from pain side by side, it bonds you in a way that doesn't just disappear. And here's where things get real. After the divorce, Blake's world shifted fast. Gwen came in like sunlight through a cracked window. Laughter, playfulness, a fresh start. You could see the difference in him. Lighter, teasing, open in a new way.
It was almost a year before she called him.
Almost like someone who finally exhaled. But happiness after heartbreak isn't a betrayal. It's survival. And Miranda? She didn't crumble. She kept touring, kept writing, kept showing up. You saw grit instead of collapse.
You ain't missing nothing.
That line feels defiant, like someone saying, I'll be fine, watch me. But here's the emotional twist nobody talks about enough. Just because two people divorce doesn't mean the love was fake. It just means it couldn't survive who they were becoming. That's a hard truth. And Gwen understood that in her own way. Her split was public and messy. Tabloids, rumors, pain splashed everywhere. So when she stood next to Blake, smiling like she'd found steady ground again, you weren't just watching romance. You were watching resilience.
And they're all waiting for your hot check.
The idea that you can look at a past love and not feel shattered anymore. And then there's Kelly Clarkson. After her divorce, she didn't hide. She talked about it on her show. She let herself cry. She admitted it hurt more than she expected. You felt that honesty.
Because of you, I learned to play on the same.
Childhood, patterns, fear. It reminds you that heartbreak isn't just about the present. It wakes up old wounds too. Now imagine being Miranda's best friend. You saw her before Blake, during Blake, after Blake. You remember who she was at 17, who she was at 30, who she is now. So when you say she never stopped, you're not stirring drama. You're acknowledging continuity. She never stopped caring about the version of herself that existed in that love. That's different from wanting it back. And here's where this story quietly shifts from celebrity gossip to something that feels almost personal. You've probably done the same thing. You've moved on. Maybe you're married. Maybe you're happily single. Maybe you're still figuring it out. But there's a name that still carries weight. A chapter that still feels sacred. Not because you want to relive it, but because it built you. That's what people are reacting to in those comment sections. Not scandal. Recognition. Some fans defend Blake fiercely. Others stand firmly with Miranda. Some adore Gwen in her fresh start. Some relate most to Kelly's open vulnerability. But underneath all those opinions is one shared truth. Love changes you. And once you're changed, you can't go back. So maybe when the friend said she never stopped, she meant Miranda never stopped being shaped by that love. Blake didn't either. Gwen stepped into a man already transformed by his past. Kelly rebuilt herself stronger because of hers. And here's the uncomfortable but freeing part. You can love again without erasing what came before. Your heart isn't a whiteboard, it's more like layers of paint. Each one shows through a little. That doesn't make the new color less real. It just makes the whole picture richer. And honestly, that's kind of comforting, because it means heartbreak wasn't wasted. It means the songs weren't lies. It means when you belt out "Stronger" in your car or hum "The House That Built Me" late at night, you're connecting to something honest. Not perfect. Not tidy. Honest. And maybe that's why this quiet little comment exploded the way it did. It gave language to something most people feel, but don't say out loud. You don't always stop loving. Sometimes you just love differently. Sometimes you carry it softly. Sometimes you let it sit in the background, like an old photograph you don't take down, but don't stare at every day either. So no, this isn't about tearing down Blake's marriage to Gwen. It's not about questioning Miranda's strength. It's not about comparing heartbreaks like trophies. It's about admitting that first love, especially the kind that grows with you, leaves fingerprints. And those fingerprints don't fade just because you sign new papers or wear a different ring. The real reason that sentence felt so powerful is because it mirrors your own life. You've probably never stopped either. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a secret texting way. Just in a quiet remembering way. And that's human. So the next time you hear a Miranda Lambert song that feels a little too real, or see Blake and Gwen laughing on stage, or watch Kelly Clarkson wipe away a tear mid-interview, you might feel it differently. Not as scandal, but as layers. Because maybe none of them failed at love. Maybe they just grew through it. And maybe "she never stopped" wasn't a confession. Maybe it was a reminder. You don't have to erase your past to honor your present. You just have to carry it honestly.